All right. Well, welcome to another episode of GothamSound.tv. I am very, very excited to bring Ben Escobedo live from Infocom. He is showing the Shure ANX4. Ben, hi, how you doing?
Hey, Peter, how are you?
I'm okay. We are live, so for everybody watching, please put your questions, your comments. I have questions for you, Ben.
Mhm.
But we will read these out and we will ask you on all of our viewers' behalf. I see, I already see Maurizio asking, he's already saying checking in. So this is going to be very exciting. Ciao to you, Maurizio. Um, all right. So let's get into it. Big announcement at Infocom. Take us through it, Ben, please.
That's right. Well, welcome to the booth, everyone. We're here at Infocom, last day of the show. It's Friday, and it's been a very successful, busy show. A lot of new products dropping from Shure, and especially in the pro audio industry. So we're going to talk a little bit about the new ANX4 multi-channel receiver today. It's pretty cool.
Got it. Your Bluetooth is garbling a little bit, but we're going to power through it.
So hopefully you can hear me all right. But
Better.
the ANX4 right behind me is a 1RU box that we released, and it is a multi-channel receiver. It is capable of up to 16 channels of Accent Digital or 24 channels of ULXT. All in one RU, that's very impressive. From a tech perspective, you're not giving up any of the features that you would normally get, with the exception of analog I/O. There's no XLRs or PRS on the unit. The only I/O is a Dante or AES67. But the box is fully capable. Looks the sales pitch is that it works literally with every single actually digital USB transmitter we've ever made
Hmm.
worldwide, because the unit can go from 174 all the way up to 2 gig. So whatever frequency band that you currently own, you own ULXD, you own Axiom Digital, this is the unit that will solve everything and do everything.
And so, just to, I'm going to repeat some of what you said. So, 16 channels of Axient, 24
Mhm.
channels of ULXD, one RU. Um, and to be clear, it can do that either or, right? Not at the same time.
Correct. It can do either or. So you will choose the mode that you want to operate in, and it can be either Axiom Digital or ULXD. Can't do them simultaneously.
Got it. All right. Yeah, we gotta. Maybe if you, we may take a pause because you're suddenly the AirPods are, and we want to be clear, the AirPods have tanked. Do you have you when you adjusted it? It was pretty. It got better for a second. So let's see if we can adjust it. Um,
About that, you could. Hopefully, you can hear me. Is this any better?
that's better. Yeah. Hopefully it
Okay.
stays that way. Terrific. Okay, so do you have the ability? We can show this stuff on Still Store. So Jared, if we can call it up, so there it is. It's one RU, and Ben, can you talk about what we see on the display?
Sure. We're looking at a Axiom Digital configuration, so it's 16 channels of Axiom Digital. This would be the unit fully licensed for 16 channels of use. We'll talk more about licensing in a minute. However, the licenses are both ULXT and Axiom Digital capable. So when you buy X number of channels, that means you can use 8 channels of Axiom or 8 channels of ULXT simply by rebooting the box. There is not a separate license for each of the platforms. So a channel is a channel, essentially what's going on. But in this configuration, what I think most of our viewers would be interested in is the 16 channels of Axiom Digital and one RU. There are only two options for the unit, meaning like there's no frequency bands you have to pick. There's only whether or not you want the DC option, and I'm pretty sure most of the listeners here are going to want the DC power option.
Ben, I'm going to stop you for a second. We're all amongst friends on this broadcast.
Yeah,
How quickly can you pair a different style microphone?
probably pretty quickly. Do you want to see if I can
I'll
go
I'll
running?
I'll vamp for a few minutes while you go off camera.
Okay,
because
apologize. I think it's the 2.4 in here is absolutely bad. My Bluetooth mouse was like having massive trouble. It's just like going from the computer. I'll be right back.
no, no,
I'll
no,
find
and that's totally fine. And look, any other broadcast, like I mean, we're all amongst friends. So I hope everybody
all
watching
right,
stays with us.
all right,
You
everybody.
go.
Give me just a minute. I'm gonna go find something.
Okay,
Be
good.
right back.
Yes, if only there were an MVX2U around. I think that's what he's going to go get. So yeah, I will vamp and definitely ask your questions. I am very excited about this product. Obviously, we've been waiting for it for a long time. I will talk about the cloud aspect of it, and then Ben will correct everything that I've said. I think the cloud aspect is well. I'll mute him. So that we don't deal with it. Yeah. Okay. Um, so I think the cloud aspect is really interesting in the sense that when you buy the receiver, it is strictly a Dante headphone amplifier, at least in terms of functionality. Um, the idea is that you have to actually add licenses to it. And I think that this may be controversial. I'm curious to see, put in the comments what you think of this idea. But they come, you can buy one at a time or in groups of four up to, 16 for Axient. So I do think that that's interesting. The other thing is that the licenses are in the cloud. So, for example, they're not permanently tied to a machine, and this is a departure from what we've seen, for example, from sound devices and other manufacturers where the license is permanently tied to a machine. Here, it's tied to your cloud account, and so you can add licenses to machines at will. You can in theory, loan them or rent them out, and so can a dealer like Gotham, which I think is all very interesting. So yeah, for those of you watching, let me know what you think of that in the comments. Yeah, I love that it's in the cloud, and I'm, one of the questions, Martin, I saw your comment. One of the questions I'm going to have for Ben is, like what happens if their version of the cloud goes away. Will the channels be rentable or only persistent licenses? So I don't want to answer for Ben. I'm waiting for him to come back. But the conversations that we've had is that they're saleable only. That's not to say like us as a rental house and you as individual users couldn't offer them for rent to other people, other users. So will the unit work in a no Wi-Fi zone? Well, apparently there's too much 2.4 gig at Infocom for the earbuds to work to our standards, but we'll see what Ben comes back with. But to your question about the ANX4, will it work? My understanding from Ben is that it needs to connect to the internet once when the license is put on, and again when the license is removed. And after that, it no longer needs the internet. Use the audio via the ANX4 instead of the AirPods. Yeah, we probably should have gone through and made sure that we're pre-sent, all the USB-C iPhone dongles to get in and out of it properly. But we'll get this sorted. And so, yeah, I think. I think that the idea that it only needs the internet if you're actually adding or taking off licenses is pretty key. Dan, I see your comment about it would have been nice for the hardware to come with 2 or 4 channels out of the box. Definitely a choice. I think I have to agree with you. Like, even a single channel, but I also get like, what if somebody just wants to have an even number of channels? So then how do you do it? Would it be 2? Would it be 4? But it is interesting that it comes with no channels. Aha, wait a second. Ben's back. Let's turn him on. Oh, wait. Let's see what happens with Ben. I'm going to mute him again. So yes, Ryan, the union only has to be connected when transferring licenses. That's exactly right. Funny how my audio is better than his. Well, I'm using a Shure hardwired mic. Let's see what he's got. Well, let's see what he comes back with. The suspense is definitely killing me. What else can I talk about with the ANX4? I think if you haven't seen their new spectrum analyzer, you're in for a treat in terms of we've just lost Ben's Zoom completely, so I'll keep an eye on that. You're in for a treat in terms of what the display looks like. I'm just going to bring Ben back into Zoom. Let's see. Oh, and he is flipped. Bear with me, everybody. I like that we're amongst friends and we can troubleshoot this. Ben, if you can hear me, you are flipped. But let's see. Yeah, Ben, if you can rotate 90 degrees. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but and we'll unmute you. Hey, buddy.
Here's the guy. So you're about to shoot something?
Yeah.
No.
There's not.
You do sound better, Ben, for what it's worth. All right. We'll let him get his picture sorted out. All right. Yes, the AD600 is an incredible device. Maybe he comes back with an MKH50. I love that. Yeah, that is my favorite booming mic. I don't know how well it would sound in at Infocom, but I'm sure it would be okay. All right, hang on one second. Ben, can you hear us? Whoops. Ben, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. You are flipped 90 degrees. Is there any way that tripod that you can get it to flip back? Because you sound better so far.
Excellent.
Mm.
Let me see. Is that
Aha.
good?
Aha.
All right. All right. I think we got it now. Sorry about that.
Amazing.
All right. We are using a move mic direct to the receiver on the camera, and I'm monitoring her headphones here.
We definitely hear the 2.4 gig struggling still, but do me a favor, tap the mic. I just want to, or talk into it. I just want to make sure it really is picking up that mic. Talk right into it.
Check 1, 2.
Oh yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Maybe move it closer actually. Or talk, or hold it, or do what the Instagram kids do. Yeah.
There you go.
All right, good. All right, so I've told a bunch of crazy stuff about it. So hopefully you'll correct me. But we talked about licenses. I think
Sure.
that's the most important thing is that it comes with no licenses, and you got to get licenses.
That's right. The box will ship empty, and you can license anywhere from 1 up to 16 channels for Axient or 1 to 24 channels of ULXD. The licenses are permanent, meaning they're perpetual. When you purchase a license, the mechanism to get it onto the unit is that you will take a Ethernet with RJ45 and plug it into the back, and then you will claim the unit. And the claiming, it means that that unit is yours, and you will it'll be part of your organization or your Shure Cloud account. Once the box is claimed, then you can purchase licenses and put them onto the unit. At first, when I first was thinking about this process, I thought it was more like, oh, I take my computer, like.
Oh no! Oh no! The trials and tribulations of trying to do this over the internet from a trade show floor. All right. Well, let's see. I will tell him that we lost him. We really do want to hear what he has to say. This is frustrating. We had it going. And of course, no. Huh. Hey, buddy, rejoin the Zoom. Thank you. Okay, bye. All right. Imagine this on set. What a nightmare. Well, we're not on set, so that's the beauty of this. We're trying something new. We're doing live from Infocom with Ben at Zoom. This is also why we go to the trade show usually. Yeah, and thanks for bearing with us. Yep. And yeah, Ben will join. Yeah, we'll get some prices going. I think I can talk about list prices. Let's see. Because I believe they are on our website. At gothamsound.com. Let me keep an eye on Zoom first. Okay, there he is. Okay. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
You are coming in vertical again, so whatever you did to flip it.
Okay.
Almost there. We'll give it one more second, and I think what we'll do is, there you are. All right, it's good to see your face.
Okay. Wi-Fi issues.
Yeah, it's all fun. Good. Okay. So we're starting to get into we had some questions about prices. Do you have license prices? Well, price for the unit and then license prices?
Yeah, I can give you some ballpark figures of the unit. So the unit is empty is about 7,000 to 8,000 in US. That's typical street. The licenses will be sold in blocks of 1 or blocks of 4 with a one-channel license of around $1,000.95, I believe. And when you buy a block of 4, you get a little bit of a savings there. I think it may be around 3,800 in that neighborhood for a block of 4. A question that comes up is if I buy a block of 4, does it have to stay together in that group of 4? And the answer is no. You can buy a 4-channel license and put one channel on 4 different units if you wish.
That's very cool to know. And similarly, you can add one channel at a time from your cloud or somebody else's cloud is what we started to get into.
Oh, okay. So that's a good question. You need to have the unit registered to your cloud account in order to manage the license on the unit. This is for security as well as making sure that if you come across to another unit in the field, another ANX4, you cannot move licenses on or off it unless it's your unit. But if it is your unit, then yes, you can manage your licenses and transfer them at will from one unit to another. And this is really a powerful thing for both renting and pouring, as well as giving users flexibility to move licenses instantaneously between ANX4s that they own.
Copy that. And so just to put a fine point on it, I was mistaken, I think. It's not that the license for the channels is in your cloud account. It's that the unit itself goes into your cloud account, and that gets attached.
It's a two-step.
Go ahead.
Yes, it's a two-step process where, yes, you have to claim a unit first before you're allowed to manage licenses and such. I think, a lot of users are adverse to licensing because of, some are subscription-based, which this is not, but some are permanent where you can't move licenses on or off. But let me give you a scenario which really is exciting. If you do a show or event here, like in Orlando tonight, and then a colleague of yours in your organization has another ANX4 on the West Coast, you could take the licenses on this unit here in Orlando, put them back on the cloud. My colleague on the West Coast could plug in the ANX4 there, and then transfer those licenses instantaneously and making that unit be 16 channels rather than shipping a refrigerator-sized rack of wireless across the United States or the world, even, yeah, you still need transmitters, but you can move virtually your channel count inventory wherever you want.
That's amazing, and that's basically what we talked about. And to reiterate, to do that, the unit has to be physically connected to the internet, but that's the only time that it has to be connected to the internet.
Absolutely. The only time it needs to be connected to the internet is when you're managing your licenses. It doesn't have to phone home. It doesn't have to check home. During our research for alpha and beta testing, what's the worst case scenario is being on a shoot or out in the middle of the field at a festival, and then the unit says license is expired or something, and you want to avoid that. Additionally, there's a lot of customers, especially in large corporations and financial institutions, where they will not have this unit on the internet, and that is against policy. So, of course, if you want to load this up with an X number of channels, unplug it, you can do that all day long, and it will never expire or have to renew. It will remain in that form until you decide to change it. You could still do updates through Shure Update Utility and all of that without being connected to the internet. It's only just if you're going to manage your licenses.
And I appreciate everybody staying with us through the technical issues, and we're starting to really get into the meaty questions here. Christopher asked if a license is installed on a device and the device physically fails or is stolen, is the license recoverable?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of those outliers where, the device physically fails, won't power on, or it's stolen or whatnot. That's a case where you can call Shure and explain the situation, and, with the proper whatever documentation, or, hey, I trust you, we will release those licenses back into your cloud account so that you can move them onto another physical unit.
And so what proof of purchase would suffice, I would imagine, or an invoice? And
I really don't know, to be honest. I think we're kind of working that process out, but a police report or something like that is pretty common
in terms
with insurance,
of the
things like
stolen
that.
part, yeah. But
yeah,
got it. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense.
When in the cloud, and we'll go through this, I'm sure in the future, but when you log into Shure Cloud, it shows you the number of licenses that you have and how many are been activated and how many are not activated. So you can use the cloud as a storage bucket to, I call it a bucket, where you can kind of put all your licenses there if you want and just keep them there, or keep them on the hardware. We give you the option to move them around pretty fluidly.
Copy that. We're getting a lot of questions about will Shure consider rentable licenses?
At this time, no. The reason being is, A, we don't want to compete with the dealers that do renting, and B, we don't want to have a subscription or anything that could possibly expire, for reliability when you're on the job. That's just not a thing. Not that the unit couldn't be capable of it, but all that just brings into a lot of questions about how does it time out, and now it needs to check back in, and it's going to expire at a certain time, and all of that. We are not in the business of renting channels of licenses at this time. If you are a dealer or an individual and you wanted to rent licenses, we do provide a vehicle for you to do that by transferring the ownership of that license to the other party. People are like, well, that's not great. But you got to think, if I'm renting a $35,000, recording device or something from a rental house, you're basically transferring ownership of that physical device to somebody with a promise of that they're going to give it back. So the same thing would apply here. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you could certainly have licenses that you rent and transfer ownership with a promise that they will give it back, or you have to go after a deposit or however else that is approached. But that's not really what we're going to do with this unit from a Shure perspective.
Copy that. No, I understand that, and I appreciate that, and the fact that there's a method for individuals and companies to transfer licenses to different machines does keep that open on a peer-to-peer basis or company-to-peer basis, I would say.
Absolutely. It's like the used gear market. You can absolutely have like a used license market and sell that if you're getting out of the business for whatever reason and you want to liquidate your inventory, you can do that. You also have to think a large group of target customers for this will be like integrators and installers. So they're going to have a way to get the system up and running, wire it all up, install it in the racks, and then once the unit is all checked out, transfer ownership if that's appropriate to the corporation. So there's got to be provisions for that to make that all work, and we have that.
Copy that. Ryan, I appreciate you jumping into the comments. Maurizio's question about what RF band are available in the unit. Out of the box, 174 to 2 gigahertz.
There are no bands. It's one to rule them all, essentially. We can talk a little bit about detail of how that works.
So yeah, please do.
So while the unit is super wideband, 174 to 2 gigahertz, how the RF kind of topology works in it is that there are two pairs of BNC inputs, A, B, and C and D. And each one of those inputs is tied to a 72 megahertz chunk, like a block. And you can move that block anywhere in the spectrum that you want. For example, if you wanted to have G57 kind of response or frequency range, you could put two of those blocks together and cover 144 megahertz, 470 to 608 or whatnot. If you want to, you can also use two different frequency ranges and two separate sets of antennas. Like, for example, if you were using ULXD VHF and you wanted to use UHF at the same time, G50, you could do that with the right antennas on A and B for VHF and the right antennas for UHF on C and D. Or maybe a more common one for us would be the Axiom Digital platform, where I can have A and B be, G57 kind of range, and then C and D are going to be STL for 900 megahertz. We give you the option. I think a lot of deployments, though, are going to be just A and B because, you're trying to fit 16 channels in 72 megahertz. It's pretty much a walk in the park. You should be able to do it in 72 megahertz without much difficulty.
And how does quadversity work? So does that mean I have the number of receivers? So if I have 16 licenses and I put it in quadversity, I now have 8 receivers, and now it's A, B, C, D, and it all has to be the same band. Is that the idea? Oh.
So with quadversity, that's a great question. The box is a beast in quadversity because you can do up to 8 channels of quadversity in the same one. You do need to own 16 channels of licenses because you have to double up on your RF paths, just like you would today with Axiom Digital. However, because it has 4 antenna inputs, you can do A, B, C, and D antennas. And those 272 megahertz ranges or blocks that I was talking about, you would overlap them. You could overlap them partially or fully, but only the ranges that are those 2 blocks or that overlap will do the quadversity. But you can think about the game changer this is because, today, if you wanted to do 8 channels of quadversity, you're going to need like at least 6 rack spaces. Right. You're going to need, 4 quads, and then you're going to need 2 distros, one for A and B and one for C and D. So you can just hook up 4 antennas to this unit and have 8 channels of quadversity right off the rip.
That's amazing. Can you mix and match some channels in quadversity and some channels not in the same rack?
Yes, I believe that is the case.
So you can have like the hero receivers that have to be quadversity and others can be A, B, C, D. That's cool.
Yeah, I can show you on the screen, but when you overlap the ranges, it's like quadversity capable. Anything that those 2 blocks overlap will be capable, but you could go wider than that and not overlap the entire 72 because that is completely slidable wherever you want to put that range. Additionally, if you're into like some of our other advanced Axiom Digital stuff, like the frequency diversity, using 2 transmitters for the same audio, then you also would need to use, double the licenses. So like channels 1 and 2, for example, you would need 2 channels of license to do frequency diversity and so forth.
Got it. Okay. So it's at that point, it mimics as if you had physical receivers is how I would think of that in terms of,
correct.
Right. I need the same number of licenses that I would need if I was trying to do it with actual receivers. So, a little bit of pushback. The last thing I want to deal with at a gig is a piece of hardware that needs to talk to the cloud to transfer licenses around. I mean, you don't have to. You can buy it, fill it up with 16 receivers, and it'll never have to talk to the cloud again. would be my thing.
Correct.
I understand the the hesitancy, but you really don't have to at a gig. It's
Right.
only if you're trying to add or take away stuff at a gig.
That's right. I mean, some users are just not going to be moving licenses around, but the fact that we give you the ability to is pretty generous, I think, versus some other licensing structures where you can't do that. Once you license something, it's stuck for that particular piece of hardware, and I can't move them around, especially if I own multiple ANX4s in my inventory.
I saw a question, and it took me a minute to sort of wrap my head around it, but I think I have. The question is, with the 4 antenna inputs, are there any RF losses associated with that we would have to overcome? And I just want to ask, is it still Axion style where each antenna input is decoding a data stream? Like, in other words, is there any splitting going on internally?
I'd have to check on that, but I mean, essentially, you're providing discrete RF paths to discrete to individual frequencies, like you would with multiple channels of Axion digital. So, I don't want to just speak out of turn and make something up. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but there's really no like losses or like this is going to perform worse than an 84Q or 84D. Or that you're giving up any features or anything like that. It's really more channels and a smaller form factor is what we're working with.
Copy. I think a way to think about it is that it's essentially whatever losses might be in the electronics in the ANX4 is brought back up to Unity for the purposes of a link budget or something like that. Right? I mean, there's no penalty. You're always using all 4 antenna inputs no matter what.
Correct. Yeah, there's no cascading on the box or any other splitters that are in there. It's like you have two sets of 72 megahertz windows that are directly tied to A and B and C and D respectively.
Got it. Okay, and that's also good to know that there is no possibility of using the unit to cascade. You'd really need, if you're going.
There is not.
If you were going full quadversity, you'd need a splitter capable of quadversity splitting, and if not. You would just use regular multicouplers.
Exactly, or just the standard 2-to-1, 2-to-1 split, which would be absolutely fine. If you wanted to put multiples of these boxes together and keep a small form factor or footprint in your rack. Yeah.
All right. And I think sort of heading into the last part of this. So if anybody has any other questions, if you've made it this far, thank you. Keep asking. But when is this going to ship?
Great question. Well, obviously we had announced this week at InfoComm. We were expecting to ship this fall, so in approximately 90 days, maybe around September timeframe. But fall is the official answer.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. By all means, Ben, we want you to come to Gotham, both Gotham locations. We will announce these dates. People can see it and kick its tires. Christopher, I'm sorry. That's a great question. How much power does it draw? Have you guys measured that on the DC?
I have not measured it, but that's a great question. I'm not sure what the power consumption is for your power banks and such, and to calculate runtime, but we could find out. Fair
enough. We'll find out. We'll put the answer in the comments. We'll put a watt meter when you come into Gotham. And yeah, I really appreciate, Ben, you taking the time and bearing with us. Thank you so much. I figured, of all the audiences, we could sort of like do a pause and get a different mic. This would be the audience to do it with.
Yes.
Did we answer your questions? There's about a couple of seconds left to ask them right now. If we did not, keep asking the questions. We'll announce when Ben will be at Gotham. Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thanks, Jared. And keep those ideas and questions coming. And we will.